What was the first video game you were obsessed with? My dad would give me a roll of quarters to go fuck off at the bar and leave him alone. It was always pinball or jukebox. Then the sit-down asteroids game showed up one day. I always held the top score. It was then when I knew. Someday, I was going to have this in my home. Then, the Atari 2600 was born and I would stay up all fucking night playing asteroids and tired to flip it. It was also a lesson on if you beat on your controller into the console because you failed, it will break and now you got to mow the lawn. So don't do that anymore. Street Fighter Alpha 3. It took 72 hours of gameplay to unlock dramatic mode or whatever it was called, or beat arcade mode on the hardest difficulty. I tried to just leave my PS1 on for 3 days straight, but it got turned off, so I just grinded getting good at the game until I could beat arcade mode at the highest level. I poured so many hours into that game just to get a couple unlocks, which would be DLCs in today's gaming age. Crash Team Racing. I remember waiting like 20 minutes for the game to be able to boot up while in the memory card selection area on my PS2. It was always worth the wait. Now with the remake I can't play it cause each race has a 3-minute loading screen. Nintendo Switch. I'm not exaggerating. I timed it before and after each race. Not worth buying a PS5 for one game. Might as well just buy a PS3 and get the original 7-second loading screens. Also, this is offline. Online is a nightmare. Ocarina of Time, 1999. I got a handed down N64. Didn't know shit about the game, just happy I could play Smash. The cartridge came with the bundle, and on one board day, I booted it. Holy heck. What a ride. I pretended to go to sleep just to sneak back to the TV in the middle of the night. Lucky it was during holidays. Kingdom Hearts 1 was close to. There were commercials all over. That beautiful soundtrack. Crazy visuals for the time. I got cage tattoos. For Christ's sake. Madden 07 on the PS2. I had this weird obsession with franchise mode where I'd mimic the actual seasons of my favorite team Giants. In the 2006 season, the QB, RB, Ws, etc. all had the same stats as in real life. Even the defensive players had the same amount of sacks, but not tackles. Too hard to do. I even went as far as accessorizing the players with what they wore in real life and drafted the players the team actually picked via name change. Gran Turismo 4, Wanted and every other good NFS from that era. Test Drive Unlimited. Midnight Club 3. Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift. That intro is still beautiful. IMO Burnout Revenge. But I still couldn't put GT4 down. It wasn't just me wanting all the cars, it was just that good of a game to me. My mum actually quit buying me new games eventually, because she always saw me on that and almost nothing else. Chip and Dale S. The earliest game I remember beating completely without cheats. It was 1991. And I was 7-ish maybe. Recently played it and damn. It is still a super fun game. The whole mechanic of grabbing different boxes and objects and flinging them at enemies is so satisfying. The graphics are amazing for NES and also has really good music. The final stage music is one of the NES best tracks ever. IMO Silencer by Mind Control Software. I found this on. The installer was 101 billion. I asked my dad if I could download it. He hesitantly said yes. This was on the back patio as it was just getting dark in the evening. Then Ark. Also on. Then Infantry. Also on. Then Half-Life. Hostile Intent. Team Fortress. When I was little, I would rarely play games properly, so I played tons of Mario 64 and Nuke growing up but never really got anywhere with them. Used them more like sandbox games. Lol. At Sly Cooper on PS2 was the first game I actually fell in love with the story. It was the first game I ever got 100 on and the first time I was eagerly awaiting a sequel when I saw one was announced. Probably Sonic Adventure 2. I feel like Battle was in the title somewhere too on the GameCube. Loved the game. One of the most fun I've had, but man, Chao Garden was an extremely unexpected sleeper hit. I'm pretty sure I printed out ways to get the angel and devil ones and all the different types they could be. It was thrilling, they need to bring it back. Battlezone, in the arcade. I got so good at it I had to quit because it stopped being any kind of challenge. I knew the magic technique. I could spend hours zooming around the landscape dodging missiles and could avoid every one of them. Always a high score if I wanted to play that long. The arcade would give me free tokens that I would use on other games. I guess many people said it, but I still got to say GTA sir. When I'm 17, I used to wake up from 4:30 a.m. when my parent went out for work, just to play a little before I go to school. My parents was very strict on me when it comes to video games, so I can only play 2 hours on weekend, and I'll have to sneak on them if I want to play on weekday. Damn. Time flies. The original SimCity. It took me ages to figure out that I needed a power plant. I didn't understand power lines, and after the how to turn a tiny profit, I knew nothing about these types of games. Couldn't understand the language and I was incredibly young. But I was hooked. Civilization basically taught me more than any English teacher ever could. Turrican on the Commodore 64. That was around 1991. It's a Euro-style run and gun with an emphasis on exploration. I've seen it described as almost an arcade Metroid game. And that's close. Wish there were more games like it. There should be a subgenre of games like this. But no, closest thing is Gunlord X, which was a tribute to Turrican. Okay. I'm gonna say it. But you have to listen to my reason. Fortnite. Okay, I was 13 and just got my PlayStation. The game just came out and wasn't full of the crap it has now. It hurts to think about the state it's in. I made some damn good memories with some random people on there. Wish they didn't change anything after Season 3-4. RIP Fortnite. Probably Fallout 3. I was 10 when I first played it, and the universe just really gripped me. I liked talking to the NPCs and having them respond to what I said. I liked that I could make choices that had long-term consequences. I've played tons of RPGs since then, but I always come back to Fallout 3. What a neat game. Mario Kart 64. I was about 3 at this time. I'd sit and give pep talks to my chosen character before starting the race. Then after, on the podium, if I won. Then my cousin's boyfriend stole my copy of it a few years later, while I was crying watching Marley and Me. Yes, it happened at that time, and I know it did. Luck I spent so much time and money at the arcade in the mall trying to get good at it. Spent a lot of time on Pac-Man due to having a similar last name, and everyone expecting that I would be good at it. I like Ms. Pac-Man more, but if I played that in public it would have been a problem. FTL's Dungeonster, and their follow-up, Chaos Strikes Back. I'll play them for hours upon hours as a teenager. Loved them. I found a CSB Atari to PC port recently and was great reliving those memories. Shame I can't find a DM1. There was an attempt I found on Steam, but it was really poor. Didn't start getting into video games until I decided to buy an Xbox. Downloaded a free demo of Life is Strange. Absolutely fell in love with it. Storyline and visuals were so pretty to me. Even to this day I still go back and play it even though I've completed the game more than 10 times. The first video game that I have been hooked on is Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Every day, when I would be done with my homework, I would be playing the adventure mode recklessly. Of course, since my sister and I were bad at the game, usually we would choose characters that are easy to use. Dragon Warrior. It came with a subscription to Nintendo Power. Anyone else remember when Nintendo Power? Dragon Quest comments GFLVNH. Does anyone else remember when Nintendo Power? World of Warcraft. I was into the game, even from the start of Warlords of Draenor when I stopped doing all forms of group content and basically used the game as a way to keep my hands busy while I binge series on Netflix. Big Nintendo fan here. I remember being incredibly obsessed with Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time when I was a kid. My older brother let me play on his DS, and I was sitting in the edge of my seat while I played. I must have replayed that game about 50 times now. Super Metroid. I swear my friend and I played it every day for what seemed like forever. I still play it today with randomizers. Back then we did challenges, trying to get the fastest time. 100 items. Play through without saving and without dying. Good times. Nemesis. Used to catch a bus after school to go into town and try and beat it. Also pinball when I realized you could win free games. Also Bubble Bauble. With the Konami code, me and a mate could get close to 100 LVL on 1 OP, and now well spent. The first game I was really obsessed with was probably Rainbow Six Siege. I've had my fair share of binge playing games up to that game, but that game was all I played for, specifically between the beta and Operation Health. Battlezone, at game all day at a holiday camp on the Isle of Wight, and when I went to bed that night all I could see when I closed my eyes were vector mountains, shapes, tanks and missiles for at least 2 hours. Video games since I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and I had a lot that I liked, but I think the first one I was obsessed with was Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1 that I played when I was probably 12. Spyro 2 on the PS1. Replayed the trilogy to death as a kid, and I would spend a lot of time running around torching sheep, or just leaving my controller idle in summer forest or autumn plains. If you know, you know. Kingdom Hearts 2. Commercial aired on Disney captivated every time. Saved up to purchase my own PS to the game. Been dedicated to the series ever since, despite how convoluted, confusing the story can be. Depends on what exactly counts as obsession. But I think Fire Emblem Awakening fits the bill. The story just totally blew my mind, since the only game with a story I played before was Pokémon.